Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Mindset Check podcast. I'm your host, Misha McKittrick. I'm so glad you're here with us today. This podcast is a place, it's a space where we believe that as you go through life, we need to take care of our minds. And we believe that when we take mindset checks, you have more power than you think you do. And today we're checking in to the power that you have to feed yourself what you need for your soul to move forward. It's just such a necessary check that we all need to take. And I'm excited to jump into it with you. If this is the first time that you're listening to this podcast, you need to know that in the first season of the Mindset Check podcast, we're reading through my journal. And I kept this journal when I was 15 and I got pregnant as a teenager. And I am in the middle of a really rocky relationship. And I had my little girl and she passed away. And so we are on the outskirts of kind of that stuff kind of happening. And I'm still in this relationship. That's kind of what you need to know. If you want to go back and listen and get caught up, feel free. If you want to go with us forward from here, we are so thrilled that you are here. And now I just want to say thank you to Groove for supporting this podcast. Groove is an all-inclusive one-stop software that includes every single software you need to run an online business. Everything from professional-looking websites, sales funnels, emails, the ability to create your own online courses, and take online orders, and more. I love Groove because it is friendly and helpful to use even if I have little to no technical knowledge. They make it easy to copy, paste, drag, drop, click, and scroll your way to the side of professionally creating your business. I also love that so many things I need to run my business are all in the same place. You can start a website with Groove for free. When you sign up for a free Groove account, you get immediate access to a website creator, funnel builder, and shopping cart software. If you have a need to simplify or start an online business, then check out Groove. You'll find a link for Groove in the show notes. As far as giving you a backstory for some of the things that are happening that you might be not really aware of is I start a new job at a company called Matrix, and there's a couple things that are new, but I explain them afterwards. So I don't think there's anything that would really be that confusing, and we just kind of go through all of it afterwards. And it's a beautiful time to sit back and reflect and to look into your own life and what you want to bring into it that will bring light into your life. Let's jump in. April 17th, 1995. Hello. 7:24 in the morning. I'm getting ready and I'm a few minutes early. Remember, I'm starting at Matrix today. I'm telling you, this weather is weird. If I walked outside, I would be stepping in snow. I can't believe it. I'm kind of excited. This is the last page of my journal because I got a new one and I really like it. My booth is doing pretty good. I checked up on it today. As for Jesse and I, we're okay, but I just feel like he has this attitude towards me. Like he puts this, "You don't want me," or "I wish I was that important," or "I wish I could be more for you." And I'm really sick of it. I know, I love him. Taylor, I love you. April 18th, 95. My new journal. I'm so excited. I love this journal. Anyway, work, Matrix, it's okay. Except for they jam your head full with information. You get very stressed. And I always seem to get so tired around 1 to 1:30. Today I accidentally fell asleep. And my trainer said, "Okay, Misha, why don't you pick it up from right there?" Imagine how I felt. Jesse is a whole nother story. Yesterday, I told him I was not paying his bills unless he helped. He got offended. But he isn't even making enough effort to get out of bed. let alone go to work. What do I do? He promised a week ago he would drop his friends, and every day since then, he's been with them all day, and sometimes all night instead of with me. For one, it's tearing me apart inside and out. I can't handle it every time. For one, it's tearing me apart inside and out. I can't handle it. Every time I see his friends, I'd like to just deck them. They always drive our truck, even when I ask to take it instead of my dad's car. The answer is no. But the only thing he does all day is drive around and lie about looking for work. Even after work hours, he's looking for work. Makes sense. Another funny thing is he always seems to forget about the time. Right now it's 11:01, and do you think I've even seen him all day? Nope. My dream is to come home and have him here. Right. The only way that would ever happen is if I was coming home with him. Do I let him walk all over me, or do I get a divorce? I'm so confused, and asked for my patriarchal blessing 1 month ago, and I'm still waiting for my recommend. Taylor, I'll be ready, honey. I love you, and there's nothing I wouldn't do to be with you. XOXOXOXO. April 20th, 1995. Hello. Tomorrow is the day we take our final exam on JAWS, AT&T. Nervous, but confident. I finally finished my embroidery piece to put on my cedar chest. I've been working on it for a whole year. Jesse is in Ogden to pay the lawyer some money, which he got a loan to do. So I don't know what to do. Everything with Jesse feels wrong, and we don't even agree on anything, and we always argue. It feels like we're just ripping each other into pieces. But it's not so easy to just let go. I know of a way I could get a free divorce if I wanted. We've been through everything together, and it's not that easy. I never see him or get to talk to him. I feel we aren't even married, and that there is no commitment. What do I do? I wish I could get my patriarchal blessing now. I love you, Taylor. XOXOXO. Woo. Okay, this is really going back to a time where, yeah, you can see that I'm starting to work, and Jesse really was gone a lot. He would go up north a lot, you know. Like I said, he was in Ogden. I kind of felt like, you know, I'm just kind of doing my part, my thing, I'm zipping it up and going to work, and I'm doing the things, and he's kind of bouncing in and out. He's kind of starting to assume a different role where, and the way he's showing up, you know, like saying he's getting a job and then not getting a job, and just, it was really like starting to weigh on me. And all of that's a process, you know. There was a part in the first entry that I read that, you know, there's this list of things that he has this attitude towards me, where he starts to say things like, you know, I wish I was that important to you. I'm telling you right now that my life was him, and just being organized and clean and going to work and having my life like start to assume like a lot of organization holy moly. He couldn't have been like farther from the truth, by saying something like that. But it's interesting when, I saw something today where Pastor Kean, somebody just posted this and it said, he was saying, don't let people corner you when you know you've done right by them. Like, don't be mad at me because I didn't stay asleep to what was happening. And I saw another quote that said, please cancel my subscription to your issues. So I think that that's kind of something that's, sometimes we go through life and we are kind of playing the game. We're signed up. It works on us, until we start to wake up and we're like, yeah, no, I don't like this. And I'm starting to I guess get stronger in a way because I'm not taking that anymore. And I don't know, I guess for me, it was good to just be writing that out, be writing it and to be seeing it and to recognize it. He was really flipping that on to me, and it was absolutely had no veracity. There was no truth to it. So that was just something that I kind of felt like I needed to point out, because I think things happen in stages when, the letting go process and all of the things that we go to move on to the next phase. Generally, it doesn't just happen overnight. It just kind of happens as a process. And then, of course, I start this new job at Matrix, and it's really just a call center. But I was excited because I had never really had a job like that before. And it just felt like, I'm getting trained, I'm all these things. And then of course I fall asleep in my training. And I do remember that. And I remember really, really feeling embarrassed that I had fallen asleep. And I guess within that, I just kind of think about how important it is that we recognize our capacity and not to be too hard on ourselves when we are operating, and functioning, and we sometimes think that our capacity should be more than it is. And sometimes we're hard on ourselves because of that. And I think it's really important to honor what we have to give and to honor that it can grow, like our capacity can get better and better and bigger and bigger. I remember that whenever I had C-sections, I have had 4 babies and all of them were C-sections. And each one I started to kind of realize a little bit more that after I would have these surgeries and my body would go through all of this, that there was only a certain amount of energy I had each day, and then I had to rest. And then I might have more, and then I had to rest. But for the most part, it kind of felt like, oh, if I go walk the track with the stroller in the morning, a couple weeks after having this baby, I'm still at a point where I only have so much to give. And so it's good for me to stretch and to do that, but then I need to conserve. And so I guess I'm bringing that up just because I think that we really are kind of on, hard on ourselves. I think that we think that our capacity should be, at the max, right? And sometimes when it's not, we can get hard on ourselves. And I guess in this situation too, I'm just coming off of a lot emotionally, and I'm still going through a lot. And sometimes that also takes your energy, and so recognize all the things that go into what you're doing. And then you can have a more realistic idea of what capacity you have to give. I love this quote by Badimi Mark Morty. It says, "The human spirit is like an elastic band. The more you stretch, the greater your capacity." And it's true. the more that I kept showing up at work and the more that I kept pushing through that 1 o'clock hour or 1:30 hour, I became more and more and more capable. My brain could hold the information and I got better at it. It's just really important to know that you can grow, but not to be too hard on yourself for times that we fall asleep at work, right? Or just in whatever capacity you have that it feels hard. And it's okay. It's okay. Doing your best and trying is the best. It's just the best. And then there's this part in the journal where I kind of take a stand and I say, hey, I'm not paying your bills. I love the quote that says, don't give the shirt off your back to a person with a closet full of shirts. So if somebody else is capable of doing something, be mindful that you're working your tail off for them. And I kind of took this stand and I said, look, I'm not going to pay your bills unless if you're trying and you're doing your part too. And here I am turning to my journal, just kind of looking for direction. What do I do? I'm not sure. He's with his friends. I'm just really trying to navigate and walk down this balance beam. And then I think it's interesting too when I say I haven't seen him all day. This is the time before cell phones, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves that you couldn't just reach out to someone. If they were gone and not by a phone, they were gone and not by a phone, period. And the pattern that was being set is just sad, right? I'm not hearing from him and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I've been this good little girl that went to work and did her laundry and prepared her lunch the next day. You know what I mean? I was kind of felt like I was playing house a lot in this phase of my life. I was just doing the things and kind of in my little, own little innocent world. And then kind of sometimes being a martyr. and I'm starting really especially to kind of wake up to that. And so one of the things that I really want to focus on is when I said it feels so wrong, but it's not so easy to just let go. This doesn't feel right to me anymore. But do I just walk away from it? And I think that there's so many times in our life where it's not, you're probably not experiencing, and you might be experiencing a relationship question like that. But it's just the questions of life. Sometimes we're like, what do I do? And these are two very big extremes that are facing me, that are in front of me. And I was really seeking for light and seeking for answers. And I was thinking about how sometimes we need time because it just helps it settle, and it helps us start to process, and it helps us seek for light. And one thing that I love watching in life, I love watching plants as they seek for light. I love growing some kind of a lily or a plant in my kitchen that will seek towards the light. Have you ever seen that when the flower will turn toward the window and the entire stem will grow, instead of just going straight up, it will lean towards the light, towards the window. And one of my favorite things ever is to show my kids, look at this plant and look at the way it's reaching for the sun. And I'm going to turn the pot and we'll, when you turn the pot, the plant is then reaching towards the kitchen. And I'll just say, now just watch. And then after the course of, so many hours, the plant corrects and goes all the way upright and then goes towards the window again. Because plants are seekers of light and they know where to look for light. And I think if we really allow that to resonate inside of our soul, we can figure out what that means about us. Plants are amazing. Light influences them even from the very beginning of their life cycle. So some seeds are stimulated by light even when they're underground to be able to germinate. While the roots follow gravity downward, the shoot grows upward toward the light. There's all kinds of plants that, are capturing the energy from the light, and they use that obviously to make their food. And the entire process of photosynthesis, that's what that is. But the ones that impress me the very most are the ones that you can visibly tell are seeking the light. Like if you've watched sunflowers in a field, when it's morning, the face of the flower is turned toward the sunrise. And then throughout the day, they just follow the sun all the way across the sky. And their face is just turned toward the sun until the sun sets. It's beautiful. And it speaks so much to being a seeker of light. I even love the flowers, if you've seen flowers that open in the morning and then they close again at night. It's like they know when to open and to absorb the light, and then when to protect themselves. It's beautiful. I love the quote from C.S. Lewis that says, "We are mirrors whose brightness is wholly derived from the sun that shines upon us." It's so cool to think about the source of that light and our need for it. And I like to think about, as humans, we need light. And what does it look like when a human being is deficient in light? And what parts of us wake up to seeking that light? And light looks different for everybody. The way that you find your light, the way that you find what feeds you, what feeds your soul. In this instance, in my journal, I had a desire, and I talk about trying to get my patriarchal blessing. And patriarchal blessings in the church I'm a part of is, just so that you are aware of what that is, it's a blessing that's similar to a prayer that you receive once in your life. And the blessing is given to you to bring insight into your life. It can include like promises or blessings, warnings about temptations or weaknesses you may have, or counsel about how you should live. It's a great encourager and brings guidance and comfort. And that's what I needed so badly. And so that's why I wanted it. And I keep kind of like referring to it and talking about it and wishing for it. And like, I can't wait for it, which then will only make it more treasured when it comes and help prepare you even more to be receiving it. And just as I was kind of seeking for that, I think it's important for, you in your own way, whatever way it is for you, to think about how you seek for light. What is it in your life that when you feel lost, like where do you seek direction, and what do you tune to? What do you tune to? And I love the idea of instruments and how we tune to like the right, frequency, the right note to be sort of in tune and on tune, right? There's a story from long ago about a man who wrote in to a radio station, and he said, "Dear Mr. Toscanini, I'm a lonely sheep herder in the mountains of Wyoming. I have 2 prized possessions, an old violin and a battery radio. All the batteries are getting weak and beginning to run down on my radio, and my violin is so out of tune, I can't play it anymore. Would you please sound an A next Saturday on your program? The next week of the program, Arturo Toscanini announced, to a newfound friend in the mountains of Wyoming, the New York Philharmonic Orchestra is now, all together and in unison, going to sound a perfect A. And they sounded the perfect A, and that lonely little man was able to tune the A string, and then the E string, and the D string, and the G from that perfect A. So isn't it interesting to reflect on how in our own lives, when we get that perfect A in tune, when we get that the most important thing, we can then tune all of the subsequent strings and be in tune. We can be then in tune. It's beautiful to sit back and think of what are you tuned to in your life. And what do you reach for, the same way that this man reached out to an orchestra to try to play the right note so that he could tune his violin. What do you reach to help you tune? What recharges you? What helps you get pointed in the right direction? What helps you find the light? I love talking about resonance. I love talking about instruments resonating with each other, okay? Because if you were to take a tuning fork that is the same tuning fork as another tuning fork, okay, so you have 2 tuning forks that are in the key of A or in the key of C or whatever they are, and you hit one of them and it starts to play its sound or emit its vibrational frequency, the tuning fork that's right next to it doesn't need to be hit. It picks up the vibration and it starts to resonate or reverberate, and you can hear the sound from that tuning fork as well. So it's the same with a guitar. If you have 2 guitars next to each other and you pluck an A string on one guitar, and then on the other guitar, the A string will begin to make a sound, okay, vibrate, resonate, reverberate, because you played the A string on the other guitar. And so as we're going through life, it's interesting to look at the ways that we are tuning in, and what are we tuning into? What are we resonating with? Because whatever we resonate with and whatever we tune into, that comes back to us. And so the things that are around us, they light up when we're with them. Okay, so like people, things that are on the similar vibrational field, we attract and we bring more of it to us because that's what we are vibrating as. Does that make sense? It's so beautiful. And I think about how before a concert begins, musicians, they need to tune their instruments and to make sure that they're all perfectly in tune with one another before they start the concert. And so to do that, the oboe player traditionally, because it's the most reliable and because it also has a deep resonating sound, usually the oboe plays an A, and then all of the other instruments tune their A, and they all make sure that their instruments are in the same vibrational frequency. And there's the story of a man who was a foreigner who was attending a concert in Paris, and afterwards when he was asked which part of the performance he liked best, he replied, "The beginning, just before the man with the stick came in. That part where they took the time to make sure they were all in tune. Oh, what an expansive thought to think about how insightful that is, that was his favorite part. Because that is the part that allowed for the rest of the concert to be beautiful and to propel forward. I love the concept that as we go through life, we are tuning, okay? We're attracting, we're putting out a vibration that is being reverberated back to us, right? Or we are reverberating with the same, what we are and what we are being. And so it's very important that we're being mindful of what we're tuning to. Another really neat concept, another idea, that orchestras actually tune to a certain vibration, okay? So if standard pitch A is at 440 megahertz, okay? That's 440 vibrations per second. And here's what's really, really cool. Some orchestras actually favor a slightly higher pitch at 442, okay, or even a little bit higher, because they believe it results in a brighter sound. And it's important for them to all line up in the very beginning so that they can produce the sound all together on the same wavelength and same vibration. It's amazing. So take a moment for your life and think about what you're tuning to and see if you have a desire to tune into something that's a little bit brighter. See if you have a desire to seek for the light in a different way, in your own way. See what it is that reverberates in you, that lights up when someone else is around, and see if that is the key that you enjoy. Because all of that can be altered. All of that can be adjusted the same way the orchestra adjusts from 440 to 442 to be a little brighter. It can all be adjusted. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love how cyclical it is, right? So the way that you show up and are being, you attract, and the way that others show up will attract you to them when it's all a similar frequency, like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together, right? And just realize the power that you have. It's literally so beautiful that you have so much ability to do something about it just by starting to recognize it. So the same way in my journal that I'm starting just to go, it just feels wrong. I'm just starting to state what is. And then inside of that, I can start to desire for something more. And then I can create something more. That's all that it takes. All that it takes is the tiny little choices that you make every day. And figuring out that as you're doing that, everything has that vibrational energy. And so the more you expose yourself to something that is a vibrational frequency that you want, right? The more that an instrument has the exposure to the perfect A, the same way that the man in the story needed that to be played so that he could tune his violin to that. We need that to be played in our life. So you have to seek for the right vibration and bring it into your life. and seek for things of that feel good. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with all of the conscious choices you're making about people in your life and the things you read and the things you watch and the things you listen to. Because that's what allows you to continually tune your instrument. And then you see that because you make a decision about what kind of light you want to bring into your life, what sound you desire to reverberate with, to find resonance with, that's when you see that you have more power than you think you do. And now I just wanted to say a huge hello and welcome to the newest member of our Mindset Check Facebook group, Ann Kennedy. Welcome. We're so happy that you're here and that you're part of this community. We're grateful to be able to share this space with you. And I just wanted to give a little reminder to all of you that if you have any questions, feedback, anything that kind of like sits inside of you, you can post questions there. You can DM me on Facebook or Instagram at my friend Misha, that's Mesha. And you can also send me an email to hello@myfriendmisha.com. I would love to hear from you, and I would love, just being able to answer your questions and just address anything that kind of like, it's a one-woman show. And so sometimes I'm not always aware of the conversation that's happening on the other side. And I don't want to skip over important details that, you're dying to know. So just reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Also, just wanted to remind you and encourage you that this podcast really excels and does well in the eyes of the algorithm, which is all just the behind the scenes type of stuff if we have reviews. So just would love to invite you to review and subscribe to the podcast, but actually click on the stars and then go in and write just a couple of sentences is all that it takes for it to register as a review. And I would just appreciate that so much. And I just want to say thank you for letting me walk through a part of your journey with you and just give you a reminder that just like the plants, you have the capability of reaching for and absorbing the light that you need. Until next time, my friends.